Canada had to issue an emergency rate cut to salvage a collapsing economy, an economy that has fallen more in the last 5 years than any other G7 country. Our GDP per capita is smaller today than it was a decade ago, while the American has grown by 18%. The gap between the Canada and U.S. per person GDP is now at its worst in a century, leading to homelessness, helplessness, and hunger on the streets. Why won't the Prime Minister call a carbon tax election so that we can fix the economy he broke?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Every now and then, Mr. Speaker, despite all his efforts, we see a little edge of the tinfoil hat peeking out once again from the Leader of the Opposition as he continues his attacks on the Bank of Canada, on the independence of our financial institutions. The reality is, Mr. Speaker, we have worked hard as a government to bring down inflation so that the Bank of Canada can bring down interest rates faster than just about any other country of our peer countries around the world, because we know that bringing down interest rates is what's going to help Canadians, even as we continue to invest in programs like dental and pharmacare and childcare that the Conservatives are voting against and delivering for Canadians.
L'honorable député de Belleuil-Chambly.
The Honourable Member for Belleuil-Chambly. Mr. Speaker, the Prime Minister has said that the Bedford school case is a mere isolated anecdote, but it's been going on for 7 years. It's very well documented that there are cases of harassment, bullying, religious indoctrination. Does the Prime Minister know that 3 other schools may be involved? And does he know that some parents are withdrawing their children from schools because they are worried? They are worried about religious indoctrination and children being discouraged from obeying Quebec law. The Right Honourable Prime Minister. Mr. Speaker, as a former teacher, I can vouch for the fact that it is essential to protect our children, to protect the values that we care about. For example, freedom. I am very concerned about the reports mentioned by the leader of the Bloc Québécois. And we all expect that the competent authorities, in this case the province, will quickly address the issue to protect children under their care. The Honourable Member for Belleuil-Chambly. Mr. Speaker, when Adil Sharkawi gets involved in a situation, we know that someone responsible needs to take over. Even though the Prime Minister is pretending to show respect for provincial jurisdiction, well, much good may it do him. Here we see that there has been federal intervention against our secularism legislation, which involves interfering with Quebec jurisdiction. The Bloc Québécois has stated that it should be impossible to spread hate speech on religious grounds. The Right Honourable Prime Minister. Mr. Speaker, we know that the government of Quebec needs to take up its responsibility in the area of education and protect kids. It needs to ensure that all fundamental freedoms are protected. That's what Quebecers and all Canadians expect as well from the federal government. And that is why we are taking action to protect basic freedoms while also expecting Quebec to do its job to protect children in its schools.
The Opposition.
After 9 years, this NDP Liberal Prime Minister is not worth the human misery that Canadians are suffering. There are now 1,400 homeless encampments in Ontario alone. The City of Toronto admits that it's run out of homeless shelter space and will have to turn people out into the snow throughout the forthcoming winter. There's a Facebook group called the Dumpster Diving Network, and people are lined up in the rain for hours for rotten potatoes. Is this the Great Depression?
Yeah. The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, we've all seen the cozy relationship that the Leader of the Opposition has with a number of Conservative premiers across the country. I would ask him to use his significant influence over those Conservative premiers to ask them to accept the money that the federal government is putting on the table to help with homeless encampments. A month ago, we asked each province and territory to partner with us to help find shelter for those living in encampments. Alberta, Ontario, and Saskatchewan have not yet formally responded to us to end encampments in their respective jurisdictions. I ask the Leader of the Opposition if he cares about this indeed, to stop playing politics and start up.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
The problem with that blame game is that, in fact, the worst homeless encampments are in NDP-governed British Columbia. In fact, what the Prime Minister has done is take the radical socialist policies that led to those encampments and those massive overdose crises nationwide. Take, for example, the drug dens. The Prime Minister continues to push taxpayer-funded opioids on the population, which has led to 47,000 overdose deaths, more than died in the Second World War as Canadians. Will he reverse these policies?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
I just have to pause for a moment on the incredible irony of watching the Leader of the Opposition in this House accuse anyone of playing the blame game. He has made his entire career as leader and 20 years as a parliamentarian about playing the blame game. It's about time he started taking responsibility for the members of his caucus and take responsibility for putting forward solutions that will actually help Canadians instead of offering cuts and pointing fingers and empty slogans.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
The NDP Liberal government is acting like, quote, a drug lord. Those are the words of Masha Krupp, a mother who lost her daughter to an overdose. That daughter, Larissa, was given taxpayer-funded opioids. Now her son is addicted to the same government-provided drugs. This radical policy, which this Prime Minister pioneered and expanded with the help of the NDP, has taken thousands of lives. Will he stop acting like, quote, a drug lord and put the money into treatment and recovery?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, we're using all the tools at our disposal to save lives and keep communities safe for everyone. Meanwhile, Conservatives are choosing to use struggling people as political props to promote fear and spread misinformation. From the very beginning, we've been there to work on an evidence-based, compassionate, and public safety approach. We have and always will be there to work with provinces and territories on approaches focused on saving lives and ending this crisis.
He's so out of touch.
L'honorable député de Laval-les-Îles.
The Honourable Member for Laval-les-Îles. Mr. Speaker, the fight against foreign interference is a priority for our government and for Canadians. Canadians deserve leaders who will take all necessary measures to protect them. However, the Conservative leader is simply finding excuses to avoid his responsibilities. He is refusing to get his security clearance. Can the Prime Minister explain why it's important that the Conservative leader step up by getting his top secret clearance?
Le très honorable Premier ministre.
Je remercie le député de Laval.
The Right Honourable Prime Minister, I'd like to thank the member for this important question. It's a question that many Canadians are wondering about, and in fact, many Conservative MPs even are asking themselves this question. The Leader of the Opposition is trying to score points on the matter of foreign interference, and yet he is refusing to get his security clearance at a time when more than ever, all party leaders should take these threats seriously. He is not showing serious leadership. Canadians deserve better. What does the Conservative leader have to hide? Why does he not get his security clearance?